what's happening? It's Saz here. So it's that time of the week again where we talk about The Walking Dead Season 8 Episode 5, Big Scary You. Now, as usual, before I go any further, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer! This video will have spoilers from the Walking Dead comic book series and also obviously the episode. So if you haven't seen the episode or you don't read the comics, then this might not be the video for you. And also, sorry again if you can hear, but Doug is lying right down here. You can't see him, but he is lying next to me. So if you hear snoring and stuff like that, it's this little guy down here. So, are we all ready? You sure? Let's get straight into the episode. So this week's episode starts off with Father Gabriel, and he's talking in church, and he has a fear of a fruitless death. And he's been given redemption from God, but he just wants his death to mean something and not just die for the sake of it. Then it cuts to Gregory. Oh, I hate that character with a passion. Cannot stand Gregory. Simon comes in with some pancakes, and basically the conversation is that Simon said to Gregory he was right to come to see him. They've obviously agreed to meet at the satellite outpost, which he did, and then Simon brought him to the sanctuary to hopefully fix things. And just the fact that Gregory said, "No, it was totally unknown to me, I didn't know what was going on." Bollocks! Of course you knew. Oh, he just annoys me so much. It's ridiculous. So then it cuts to Gregory, and he's around the table talking to Negan, Dwight, Simon, Eugene, Gavin and Regina. I think I got them all right. He's basically telling them, let me lay this down for you, Negan. I'm sure you're scared of the big scary you, which is unknown. We now know the big scary you means unknown. What the hell is Gregory trying to do? Really? You think you're going to get Negan on your side, Gregory? I doubt that. Then he says to Negan, I don't like killing people any more than you do. To which Negan's response was, I like killing people, but killing the right people at the right time. Because if you kill the right people at the right time, everything falls into place. And as Negan said this, it's kind of like a scary Bond villain. He kind of brought his hands together, and I can just imagine him like in a swivel chair going, moo ha ha. Then Negan goes on to say, if you kill one person, you could be saving hundreds more. And that is what he's all about. He's all about saving people. Then Gregory says that I can stop it before it happens. Pretty sure it's already happened, Gregory. Get with the program, dude. Maggie's taken over. Deal with it. Then Gregory is the one to suggest that if his people are joining in this misleading crusade, then they're no longer members of the Hilltop and they're out on their asses. Dickbag. Utter dickbag. Seriously. Why? No one listens to you, Gregory. Deal with it. So Gregory's trying to say, look, I can sort this out for you. The Hilltop's mine. You know, I've got this down. I'll tell them this is how it's going to go down. But Negan's not buying any of it. And he even questions him and says, well, if you're indeed the man and have always been the man, then why didn't you know about the widow leading an army of your men straight up my ass, as he says. I love that. I love Negan's phrases. Just Negan himself. Ugh. Ugh. Love Negan. Absolutely love Negan. To then Gregory is like, oh crap, how do I get out of this one? And he doesn't say anything. So then Negan says that he thinks he's playing both sides. And then another classic Negan line, I just think you're a thin-dicked politician threading the needle with your thin, thin dick. I mean, only Negan could come out with something like that. So then Simon suggests that they go with Gregory to the Hilltop, and because they've got a force surrounding Gregory, basically they're going to scare everyone to go back to the way things were. Gregory's still in charge. And if not, if they don't agree, then basically kill everyone there. Which is exactly what Negan is trying to say, and he doesn't want to kill anyone. Negan definitely doesn't like that idea. He keeps on saying that people are a resource, and then he shouts, people are the foundation of what we're building here. Woo! Negan. Damn! He's getting to the point where he's so pissed off, no one's understand that he doesn't want to kill unless it's absolutely necessary. Then it cuts to Negan looking down the table, Eugene, bless him, he's cowering, and Lucille is on the table Now, I'm guessing they did it on purpose because it looks like a dick. Lucille looks like his dick. But just the way it was placed on the table initially, I was like, that was really awkwardly placed. But again, it's to kind of show, look, Negan's the boss. This is how it's going to go down. So I kind of know why they did it, but just to me, because I'm a child and I find everything funny like that. Then Negan says to Simon, who the hell do you think you're talking to? Are you confused about who we are? And are you confused about who's in charge? So basically Negan says, you know, pipe down. Remember who's in charge here. Then Negan goes on to ask Simon, are we backsliding? This kind of makes me change my decision and think that Simon was the leader of the Saviours before. Again, comic Negan's backstory spoiler. Dwight is the first person out of that group that Negan comes across. So I thought it was Dwight that actually was the leader in the first place. But seeing that, and then Simon eventually says, no, we're not backsliding, it kind of makes me think that Simon was the leader of the Saviours at one point. Then Negan comes up with his own plan and he says we have to win it all. So his plan is to get Rick, the widow, and King Arseface, King Ezekiel, so getting them alive and making them dead in a very, very public and instructive way by killing them in front of people. Okay, yep, they've had to kill 3, but then the other people that were following them would maybe start to understand, and ultimately Negan wants to save those people from Rick, Maggie and King Ezekiel. I don't think Negan knows Maggie's pregnant, so I couldn't see Negan killing Maggie knowing that she's pregnant, but I don't know. Then after Negan says this, we hear the gunfire, which is obviously Rick and the gang asking Negan to come out to play. So then Negan looks out of his window, sees everyone there, and Simon immediately says, you know, should we get our people? Should we line them up? Light them up? So he says, no, come on, we'll go and have a chat. So then it jumps to Negan and Father Gabriel. They're stuck in the trailer, so we finally find out what happens to them. Negan immediately jumps on Gabriel, takes all his weapons. Then another classic Negan line, I'm just pulling your dick. It makes me concerned why Negan is so obsessed with dicks. But again, that's my sense of humour as well. I'm all about dick humour and just stupid humour. Then he says, but you've done good, and helps him up. Then Negan says to Gabriel that your friend is an asshole. To which Gabriel replies, you're an asshole. And Negan says, yeah, I am. So at least he admits it. But the difference is that Rick is going to get people killed. Then Negan goes on to explain that he killed the widow's husband and the ginger, but he didn't get them killed. Which technically is true. He didn't get them killed. He killed them. But that was because of Rick. Then Gabriel says that, you know, there has to be a reason that he did what he did. Then he turns creepy. Then he looks at Negan and says, maybe this is the reason. And Negan asks what? And that's when Gabriel says, I think I'm here to take your confession. What? This? Now Gabe. This is not the time, dude. Then it cuts to Rick and Daryl there with that saviour that Rick stabbed in the truck. Rick asks him, holds him at gunpoint and says, the people at the chemical plant, did you win? To which the saviour's response was, no one did. And Daryl was getting a bit annoyed at this point, and he's like, what the hell does that mean? Then the saviour says that everyone's dead. He says the only people alive were the saviour, the king, the Axeman, Jerry, and the short-haired psycho lady, Carol. So at least now they know that Carol's okay. You can still see Rick's got some humanity left. He does feel bad that he's died and does stab him in the head to stop him turning. Then it's back to Negan and Gabriel. Negan saying, we can wait it out to see if my people can sort something out. Negan says one thing, if my people think I'm dead, lots of folks are gonna die. Gabriel asks why, and Negan's not having any of it. He said, listen, I haven't got shit to confess, apart from the fact that I robbed one out right where you're sitting just to calm down a bit. I love that, just out of the blue like that. Negan, you can't really say that to a priest, dude. But it was hilarious. Negan asks Gabriel, why did he become a priest? And Gabriel says, because I love God, I love people, you know, I want to bring them together, I want to help people through their weaknesses. And then Negan's like, well, would you look at that? You know, that's what I do. I help people through their weaknesses. Been doing it one way or another from the beginning. And Gabriel's not buying it. He's like, well, how do you help people? And then Negan says, do you know why people are dying in there? Because I'm not there to stop it. Then it's back to Simon, Eugene, Dwight, Gavin and Regina. They're all sitting around the table trying to figure things out. So then Regina suggests that sending the workers out, trying to make a distraction so we can get past the herd. And Eugene blurts out of nowhere his little speech about it would be inadequate, the numbers don't make sense. I love little Eugene's speeches, they're so funny. But he's got a good point. It would be pointless to send people out because they're all going to get killed by the walkers. Then Dwight agrees with Eugene. Gavin said someone in here made everything out there happen. To which Dwight tries to cut them off because they think, ooh, it's getting too close. They're going to figure out it's me. So Dwight says to Simon, you can't lead the Saviors out of here, but I will. And at that point you think, oh God, is it going to kick off between Simon and Dwight? But no, we're okay. Simon comes around to Dwight and says, yep, that's exactly what we're going to do. And when I find out the person who did this, I'm going to kill them very slowly over the course of a few days. And while he's saying that, he's looking at Eugene, which I can understand because, you know, Eugene was with Rick before this. So he is probably the prime suspect, but they don't know the truth. Then after that, it cuts to Dwight and Eugene. Eugene says, thanks for having my back. And he's brought some primo cukes from his private stash for him. I'm so glad he was there with his jar of pickles again. And Eugene says that we will indeed find a way out of this pickle. Pun intended. Then Eugene goes over to the little chess pieces that Dwight's made. And Dwight realises they're still wet. And Eugene apologises, but he gets red paint on his thumb. Then it's back to Gabriel and Negan. And Gabriel says, oh, you helped the week before this? So then we finally get information from Negan's backstory, and Negan goes on to say that he helped kids. He made them become stronger. Little arseholes can turn into great big ones, but you've got to show them the way. Gabriel says to Negan that he's weak by killing the innocent. And Negan's like, okay, yeah, I am weak, but killing the innocent, that's not the reason why I'm weak. Then Negan goes to mention that he took the sanctuary. The person who owned it before, it was a free-for-all, gangs of animals, and then Gabe is trying to push to get to Negan. Is there anything you want to confess? Anything at all? Then Gabe goes on to say that Carl told them about all of Negan's wives, how they're pressured into marrying him. Can I just say, none of those women are there against their will. All those women made a choice, which then he goes on to say. So I was like, don't say that. Then he lifts Lucille to his face and he says, Lucille, give me strength. And Gabe, don't know why, took his moment, took out the gun, but Negan flings Gabe out the way. Then the walkers are coming in closer on the trailer and finally Negan says, right, no one's coming for us. Come on, Gabe, it's time to go. Then it's back to Rick and Daryl. They're at the truck. Daryl's trying to get the guns out the truck and he asks for Rick's help. And they find explosives. Perfect. Just what you need. Daryl wants to blow up the sanctuary, but Rick doesn't. He says, look, there are workers in there, innocent people. So Daryl kind of compromises and says, okay, we'll blow up the south side, the workers work on the north side. You know, they'll be up the stairs before the walkers can get in, they'll be fine. But then Rick still doesn't like that idea. He says, no, what if they don't? And the workers, you know, they don't fight at the moment. They're just like trying to stay safe. But if they do something like that, then the workers could turn against them and start fighting with Negan. And then Daryl's like, no, I'm not having that, and punches Rick in the face. And Daryl gets Rick in a chokehold. Then as they're fighting, Rick tries to get the explosives away from Daryl and chucks them on the truck. Rick, no, I guess he didn't know that there was fuel leaking, but you could have used those explosives. And the truck goes up and the explosives and the guns go with it. But it was just weird at the end. They were fighting and then all of a sudden they start to see the smoke, get away from the explosion, and they just sit there looking at it as if say, oh, okay, damn. It was kind of like a brother fight. So like their mums just hold them off and they're just sitting there like, okay, now what? Then it cuts to Rick. He can't get his truck started. Daryl comes along on his bike and they start chatting. Then that's when Rick says, chokehold's illegal, arsehole, which I thought was a good callback. And Daryl's like, yeah, it is. Then Rick says that we've got a plan and we've got to see it through. You know, he's still adamant, but I guess he's on his way to the scavengers. And I thought he could have given Rick a lift. No. And in the end, they do part ways. Then it's back to Negan and Gabe. Negan says, we've got Lucille to help us get through the walkers. You've got that gun, so you should use it. But most importantly, we've got each other. People are a resource. He keeps on saying that throughout the episode. Then Gabe, he shuts himself in another room in the trailer. And then he confesses that he left his congregation outside. While he was carrying inside, he heard the people die. Negan realises at this point the only way that I'm going to get Gabe to work with me is to confess. So then, he starts talking about Lucille. He doesn't mention flat out Lucille, but again, if you've read the backstory, Negan's backstory, we find out that Lucille was his real wife, his first wife, and he goes on to say that she was sick while this was going on. He said, I was an arsehole to her, I screwed around on her, which we know in his backstory he did cheat on her, but then he ended it once he found out that she was sick. And then when she went, it was during this, we find out in the backstory it was at the hospital, and Lucille does die in the hospital, but Negan hasn't got the courage to put her down. Which, I suppose in the early stages, in the very beginning of the apocalypse, not a lot of people knew what to do because they still thought that they were their loved ones. They still thought they were human, really. So they didn't kind of get that when you die, you turn, and that's not them anymore. But then that's how he admits that he was weak. Gabe comes out of the door and says, you're forgiven. Immediately, Negan pops him on the nose and says thanks. Then they talk about using the walker guts over them to get through the herd, and Negan asks Gabe, do you know of anyone that's gotten sick from this? To which Gabe's reply was, we're from Georgia, and zips up his coat. So I'm taking that as a no. So then, over the leather jacket, oh no! So they put the walker guts over them. Then they start making noise to get the walkers' attention, and Negan opens up the door, and the walkers start going in the trailer. But because they've got the guts on them, the walkers just ignore them. Then you see all the walkers that are outside the sanctuary, and Gabe and Negan are trying to get through them. And then Gabe does trip over one of the walkers, which kind of raises suspicion, and the walkers come closer and realise, actually, you're human, I'm going to eat you now. Negan hits one of the walkers, and then in turn, a walker comes close to Negan, and Gabe does shoot that walker. And they manage to fight through the walkers and get to the stairwell. Then it's back to Gavin, Simon, Dwight, Eugene, their little gang. And Gavin realises that they should have had a delivery, but there was nothing on the roads. So something's happened. This Rick guy has happened. Then when they're talking about it, I don't know her name, but one of the saviours, as I called Barcode Bitch, because her tattoo looks like a barcode to me from a distance, she comes in and says the workers are coming upstairs, and they all go out to talk to them. So now the workers are getting a bit pissed off. They're saying, when are you going to fix the power? You know, there's old people here, there's young people, we need water. And Dwight tries to calm everything down and says, look, we just need a bit more time. And then everyone's asking, where's Negan? Is he dead? No one's answering the question. And then we hear the famous whistle, and it's Negan and Gabe. They have managed to get through the walkers, and they are back in the sanctuary, to which everyone else kneels, of course, because Negan's here. And I was surprised at this point that actually Gabe kneeled as well. Then Negan mentions that he thought that a lot of you fine people thought I was dead, chewed up, never to be crapped out again. And then he says, well, here's a little refresher on who the hell I am. I wear a leather jacket, I have Lucille, and my nutsack is made of steel. So then he tries to calm everyone down. He says, look, we're going to figure this whole thing out. And then going back to doing what we've always done, we save people. So throughout this episode, Negan is trying to get across that we save people, we don't want to kill. And then one woman shouts out, thank you, Negan, thank God for you. So Gabe hears this, looks at Negan, and Negan just replies with, and that is why I'm here. So kind of going back to when they were in the trailer, Negan said the reason why people are going to die in there is because I'm not there to stop it. So Gabe kind of sees that now. He says, okay, people respect him, and it's pretty much going to shit when Negan isn't there. Then you've got the gun bag on the table. They're all in their little meeting room again. And Simon says, no, one of our own did this, is doing this. So Negan then wants to find out, well, how are you going to find out who did it? So Simon's giving reasons on how he's going to find out. Then Eugene noticed a tiny spot of red paint on the gun bag. Then he looks at his thumb and realises the red paint on his thumb was obviously from Dwight's little DIY people that he was making, because he's realised it's Dwight that's doing it. Then we see Rick taking a lovely little stroll, I'm guessing on the way to the scavengers. Then, out of nowhere, we see a helicopter. What? Now, At first, I initially thought he was hallucinating because, you know, it's hot out there, I can get it. Even Rick's face was like, what did I just see? Could it be a Fear crossover? I don't know. With Fear the Walking Dead, I know they said there were going to be some sort of crossover. Then it's back to Negan and Eugene. He basically says to Eugene, I want you to find out who's doing this, and if you do, you know, I'll make you very happy, but if you don't, I'm going to kill you very slowly so you don't have to see the shit that's about to go down when they run out of food and water. He already knows who's doing it, so whether he's going to say to Negan who it is, I like to think that because Dwight had Eugene's back when he was saying, no, don't send the workers out to distract the herd, then it's kind of like, well, he had my back then, so should I have his back now? But I don't think Eugene would want to die, so he will do what he has to do at that point to be safe. Then finally, it's back to Eugene. He's talking to Gabriel through the door. Then he realises Gabriel's not replying, so he opens the door. Shocker! Gabe doesn't look well at all. I don't think he's been bitten. At first I thought he was just playing about because he mentions that Dr. Carson is Maggie's doctor and we need to get him out of here. So whether it's just a plan to get the doctor out of the sanctuary to get to Maggie, and, you know, being in a tiny room in that sort of heat, you know, you sweat quite a bit. But he did mention when Negan and Gabriel were in the trailer, and Negan sort of asks, you know, has anyone ever gotten ill from doing this? So I don't know whether that's foreshadowing. I really hope not, because Father Gabriel's death in the comics, he's actually fighting off a load of walkers and he breaks his ankle, I believe. I don't know too much of Father Gabriel's death in the comics, but I know that he does break his ankle. You know, considering Gabriel, from the beginning, I hated Gabriel. Couldn't stand him. I just thought he was weak and he was going to get everyone killed, and he just really annoyed me. But as the seasons have gone on, he's progressed so much and he's actually doing his bit to fight. I just think his death wouldn't mean as much. I think he should go out fighting. So I'm going to leave it there for now, guys. If you did like this video, please remember to give it a big thumbs up. That would really help me out a lot. And also don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to find out when I do more of these videos. I will see you Tuesday for my episode 6 reaction. And until then, check you later.